how to shop for exosomes or not, or do. We'll see.
I will say, well, the landscape is pretty simple. There is one that might be worth considering, and probably the one that you've heard of, which is Plated. Their exosome is quite pricey. It's $258 for just 0.5 ounces, which is pretty hefty. So we'll put the aisle up here. It is a very, very just, it's powered by exosomes, and that's it. It's got the aisle will put up there. There's some hydrators and glycerin, glycols, a hyaluronic acid, but the main ingredient is just human platelet extract. So it does come from human sources, which definitely contribute to the cost of this product. They did do a 12-week clinical, and that's featured in a published paper. So we're just going to run through the results really quickly.
Yeah. So, which is great. We actually have to props, we give them props for this. So they did a clinical that they published. It included 56 subjects between the ages of 40 to 85 years of age. So we're looking at mature skin here. They had subjects use their plated product for twice daily. And they were given a very straightforward routine because on top of their plated product, they were actually given Vanicream facial cleanser. They were given their plated serum as well as an Elta MD SPF lotion. In terms of skin parameters, they were looking at things like wrinkles, erythema, luminosity, color evenness, and pigmentation, specifically brown spots. Just for those of you that don't know about hyperpigmentation, there's different types, different colors, and that can sometimes matter. Actually, that does matter, but it's just oftentimes it's looked at more generally. So we'll share the results here. They actually provide one of the before and afters of one of their subjects. This is a 48-year-old female patient showing that before and after via Visia, it's very clear. You can see, the difference in redness. Yeah, so it's very clear. You can see with this subject, just the general stark difference in redness at the 6-week mark. In terms of conclusions, they did mention that they did see significant improvement in erythema, melanin pigmentation, luminosity, wrinkles, and color evenness at 6 weeks. So they were able to show that their product and their general exosome source is helpful for skin in terms of these anti-aging concerns.
So I should mention that you guys should go back to the earlier parts of the episode and compare the picture with that really scary in-office picture. These are the pictures we're expecting. Eyes closed, a clear framework.
Eyes closed.
Yeah. Front, side, measured angle, none of this staring into the abyss and into my soul. I mean, I'm gonna guess that this is probably one of the best performing subjects, but at the same time, it's pretty impressive. The before after for this one in particular is pretty compelling. It definitely outperformed what we showed you earlier in terms of mysterious, scary looking lady.
Yeah, and we should mention that in terms of the box and whiskers charts, in terms of, the actual difference, in some aspects could be somewhat difficult to tell by the visible eye, hence why they need instrumental measurements to be paired with it. But all in all, we do think that, honestly, with the price tag, that thank God they did a clinical. And we would say probably this is the only viable option if you are comfortable with the price tag. And I think for me, the question is, what I was thinking was also like, as industry insiders, as brand owners, as, formulators, I feel like the price tag here, yes, from a consumer is very perspective. So it's very expensive. So if I was a consumer, I would feel like that's a lot for I'm really measuring based on benefits. But from a researcher's standpoint, also understanding how difficult it is to perform the actual extraction of these exosomes, I'm like, I kind of get also why it's so expensive.
Yeah, 100%. And I think ultimately, if you ask me if the price point isn't an issue, would I try it? I think to me, it's teetering on the edge of whether or not I'll try it.
Yeah, I know.
There's an allure to it, right? I think human platelet and that the extent that they went into for this study, it seems very interesting to me. I will probably still lean towards just putting that money towards in office, right? This is a 12-week thing. If you're using a face and neck, 0.5 ounces is like a 1 month supply. So before you see results, you are already at like $700 in. So to me, it's like I kind of can wrap my head around that, and I'd rather put that money towards an office where the price difference isn't as big as you would think. But you get to, I feel like you get a professional to help administer it and kind of overcome any sort of delivery issues. Because even though the clinical is compelling for plated, I still feel like, the formula is very simple, right? Like I don't see any delivery enhancing help per se. So is it going to be, am I going to see a big difference? I don't really know.
Yeah, and I'm really glad you brought up the price point. The clinical clearly states that it is testing this more intensive treatment, this $258 product. They do have another product, I think, at a lower price point that's more of like the daily upkeep. So that's a really good thing to point out. And it's the question of, would I choose this over just having, my the classics, the retinols, the vitamin C's, all of that? I think it's pretty hard. I think it would be more of like if you have the income for it and you feel like you've tried everything and this is that new thing you want to try, sure. But it's such a good point to remind people that, make sure you are giving it enough time, at least 6 weeks, to before making a decision. And
But we should say that we decided to highlight the plated product and the study in the last segment because based on all the data we've seen so far, if you're curious about topical home use exosomes, this is probably the most ideal scenario and the one to try.
Yeah.
And because we are, because we've been in this industry long enough and we are jaded, crabby chemists, we already see some of the stuff that's going to come down the pipeline. Because the word exosome is so buzzy, you're going to start hearing plant exosomes. You're going to start hearing about exosomes that deliver other buzzy actives like centella or exosome plus retinol or whatever. And I feel very mad about that.
Yeah, we should say props to Plated. This is actually done correctly, right? This is this is generally the right source. This comes with clinical data. This is the exosome product. Gloria's absolutely right. The products that are to come are probably going to use the word exosome, but there are definitely now exosome sources that are coming from plants. And if you, refer back to the very beginning when we were explaining why exosomes were even being entertained for their medical therapeutic benefit, for skin benefit, it's because the idea is that you're looking for some sort of interaction or possibly help in regulating some of your human cell processes. So having plant versions of this is just not the right concept here. If anything, you're thinking more of this is just another encapsulation technique of actives, right? So that's where we're like, I think that realm is the true realm where I'm like, I'm probably not going to be interested unless I'm just hit over the head by something amazing in terms of data.
Yeah. And I should say that I've already seen some of this lingo trickle out, kind of positioning exosomes as a delivery mechanism. Exosome itself doesn't penetrate. We spent all episode talking about how it should be paired with microneedling office because it doesn't penetrate. And so don't give me this garbage about exosome delivering like centella to my core or something.
The exosome choo-choo train is starting to move. It's starting to gain some speed for sure. No, that's such a good point.